Hello and welcome. My name's Rebecca and today we are going to be pickling my beetroot harvest using my mum's recipe that she sent me 2 weeks ago when she harvested her beetroot and pickled them. So the first thing I'm going to do is wash these in hot soapy water, and then mum's instructions just said that she ran hers or sat hers in her hot tap water, but I'm going to boil them for 20 minutes in a really large pot like this to sterilize them. So I'll get those ready first. Once they're sterilized, I'm just going to let them air dry. So wash them. Once they're boiling for 20 minutes in there, I'll prepare the beetroot. So mum's instructions are to just chop the leaves off, wash and boil them for an hour to cook them. And when I can them, I'm going to slice the big ones and I'm going to leave the little baby ones whole and put them in a jar. The leaves are edible, so we're going to process these as well. When we chop them off, we're going to cut them up and you can eat them stir-fried like chard. So I'm just going to get rid of any of the yellow ones. And we've got lots of different varieties here, but the best variety was the pink, and I think these are the pink and white striped, so they'll be really pretty when we cut them up. These bull's blood, I only got one large one, and there wasn't very many of the golden. I really like this one when it's roasted. And any of the leaves that weren't very good to eat, I'm just going to chop and drop them and put them back in the garden. So the good thing about the pink ones too is that they don't stain your hands. But I do have some gloves, so we'll be using gloves to peel them. So I'm just filling up the sink with hot soapy water. I'm going to unpackage my containers and wash the lids and the jars in this hot soapy water. I'll then put them up to drain and ready to put in the large pots. So now it's time to place them into my large pot. I can only fit 5 in, and I also put the metal lids in as well. Then I fill that to cover the jars, ready to put on the boil. So I put my pot on the stove and turn the stove up to maximum. I let it come to the boil, and then I'm going to put a timer on for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, these jars will be sterilized and ready to fill. It's now time to process my beetroot. So I'm going to cut all the leaves up and put them into a bowl. They're the ones that we're going to keep. I'm going to freeze them. And the bottoms are going into the other side of the sink, ready to wash them later. I keep getting little bits of dirt on my cutting board, so as I go I'm just wiping that off to make it all nice. You cut up the stems as well. All of it can go into a bag, into the freezer, and you don't have to cut it too tiny, just rough like this, because when it comes out of the freezer you just crunch it up in the bag and then it's in tiny little pieces. So when you'd like to use them, you take them out of the freezer, and I've just put them in these snap lock bags, and you just crunch them up. You just squeeze, 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 and you'll hear all the crunching. And then you take it over to your cooking. I like to put it in things like pasta bags, spaghetti bolognese, any of that kind of casserole stuff. And it just cooks down because it's already frozen, it's already a little bit soft. Cooks down, goes in there, and it's a good way to hide some veggies into your meals.
You've got to make sure you take it straight out of the freezer and crunch it straight away or it won't work. As soon as it thaws out, the leaves are just going to go limp and they won't break apart like that.
So my jars are just about to come up to the boil. Well, they are boiling. I'll put a timer on for 20 minutes. And I've finished processing all my beetroot. So this is all my leaves. And these are all the beetroot. So I've got to finish washing the beetroot. And I'm going to grade them into like big ones and the small ones, if that's even worth doing. I don't know if it's worth keeping them, but at least we got the greens off the top. And that one's fine. So we'll do that now and we'll get them cooking. So here is all my beetroot grated. We've got a few really large ones. Most of them are medium size. And a lot are the pink ones. We only got a couple of the bull's blood. And then we've got smaller ones and we've only got 2 of the golden, quite a lot of the bull's blood, some of the pink, and then we've got the ones that aren't worth really doing anything with. So these guys need an hour, so I'm going to put them in first. We'll give these 40 minutes, so we'll put them in 20 minutes later, and then we'll give these like 20 minutes, so another 20 minutes we'll put these in. So while we wait for the beetroot to cook, we're going to bag up into sandwich bags our leaves. And one bag will do 1 meal because the leaves are wilt down when you cook them. Try and get a little mix of the colours. And I don't bother blanching them or cooking them in any way. You don't need to. So we're going to get quite a lot of meals from the leaves. These are the bull's blood leaves. Very pretty. There's this mottled one as well. I think that's a different variety. And some leaves and some stems. It all cooks down after it's been frozen. Alright, so the instructions are bring them to the boil and then turn down to a simmer. So I'm going to do that and start my 20-minute timer to put all the different sized beetroot in there, so I can just use one pot to cook them all. These guys are finished, they've been on for 20 minutes, so we're going to turn that off and let them cool down in there. Or stay hot, whatever the case may be. Alright, so we got 5 sandwich bags of leaves that we can use to stir fry. And then we got 4 snack bags left. 4 snack bags worth, which we can just add into stir fries where it's not the whole side dish. Like these will do a whole side dish, mix it with a bit of bacon, fry it up. Really delicious. And this will be in a stir fry that has lots of other vegetables in it. So you can see you get a lot of leaf, more than what you get your beetroot. So it's worth saving your leaves and frying them up, and they're very nutritious. And in this little bucket is all our leftovers from washing, from the harvesting basket, and that's going to go straight back on the garden in the chop and drop layer. So these guys have been simmering for 20 minutes, and then we're going to put on our next size of beetroot in, and they'll go for 20 minutes as well. And then we'll put the baby ones in last for the last 20 minutes. And then I might give them a poke to make sure they're all soft. I think they're supposed to be soft. Not really sure. I've only ever roasted them. Now get you all in. And these last guys will go in 20 minutes. These guys are staying nice and warm there, ready for when we do our pickling. When we do our pickling liquid, so that we're not pouring hot water into a cold jar. Alright, so my timer just went off again, and I'm going to put all the little baby ones in. Try not to burn myself. For the last 20 minutes, and then we will drain them. Oh, that's feeling good. Maybe we'll do 10 minutes. So I've taken the large and the medium ones out. They are just tender. I can get a knife through them, but they're still firm. And I'm going to run some cold water on them and peel and dice them.
So now it's time to chop the tops off and remove the skins, and then dice up the beetroot ready to put into the jars. So you just top and tail them and rub the skin off with your fingers. It's as easy as that.
This is my setup. I've got my cooked beets, got my cutting board, my plate for the cut up beets, and my scrap bucket here. And I'm filming with my iPad. And these guys have just finished cooking, so I'll get them out in a minute. That's the little baby ones. And I'll chop those up too. Okay, so I'm finished dicing up all my beets. I've got lots of lovely colours in there. This is the pink, the Red Bull's blood, and this is the yellow. I mostly have the pink one in there, but I think it'll make a nice mix. And so the pickling recipe is 1 cup of vinegar, 3/4 cup of white sugar, but I'm going to use brown sugar, and a couple teaspoons of your spices. So I'm going to put these all in here. I'm going to put 2 packets of yellow mustard seed, the 1 pack of pickling spice, and the other pack of mustard seeds to dilute the pickling spices a bit. There we go. I didn't have very many mustard seeds in there, and that is the best bit of pickling spice, I think. Other pack of mustard seeds in, I'll give it a mix around, and we'll get that started. So let's pop these ingredients in. Mum says she normally doubles it, so I'll do that. This is the half lot. My spices. So I'm going to bring it up to a boil, down to a simmer, turn it off, and then we'll fill our jars. Alright, so to wait for that to come up to a boil and dissolve all the sugar. I'm going to get our sterilised jars out. They're cool enough that I can touch them, but I'm not going to touch the inside. And I have washed my hands. So I'll pop them up here and we'll pack them with our beetroot. I might do that, so I don't think I'm going to need that many jars. Pack all our beetroot in. Cut them into chunks so I can just eat them. Probably about that much. Maybe one more little slice in there. Maybe I will fill a few jars. That's so cute. I have to sterilize some more jars. I did wash the rest. Alright, that's all done. So I just gotta wait for my liquid now. Oh, here it's coming up to the boil. Oh, there it is. So just turn it down. Now, how to get it in the jars without spilling it everywhere. Alright, so I put it into this little jug and I'm going to pour it in for the first. Okay. And then I've just got to poke it with a skewer to get rid of any air. I don't know if I have a skewer. I'll find something in a minute. So I'll just fill these guys up. I had a little bit left over. So I don't have a skewer, so I'm going to have to. So I had this much left over. We'll probably do another can, another jar. Okay, so then I will pack down my beetroot again. Make sure it's covered. Then I'll have to wipe the mouth. I'll have to take a piece out. Some paper towel, spices down. mustard seeds everywhere. Definitely managed to make a mess. Yeah.
So I just placed the lids on and put them in the fridge to eat later. I definitely used too many spices. I'm pretty sure it was 2 teaspoons, not 2 tablespoons.